Greetings, magnificent divine being. I know who you are. Topic: increasing your prosperity consciousness. Prosperity, because I meditated on this, always we think it's money and gems or property and all of that kind of thing. Yes, in this world, because it's set up that way. And we have to use the money because it's been set up that way. But money is not the source of your good. And when we have a prosperity consciousness, you are a manifester, because everybody is already a manifester. And a lot of times, when I work with people, I always have to acknowledge them for being such a great manifester. Because the tendency is for us to always think something's wrong with us. We made a mistake, so we didn't make ourselves the way we should be, or the relationship didn't work out the way we thought it should or wanted to it, and we think we're a failure because we weren't who they wanted us to be. The key is be who you are in the very beginning, and then there won't be any, lies that are separating you from your partner and your loved ones, because you're always being you. And yet, in every situation, because it's time, place, and circumstance, you know how to act or behave or what to say or what to do, because you're in tune with yourself. And what happens, most people, they call their false ego their self. That means their persona or their character that they have built, that they're trying to protect or they're promoting or defending or whatever that may be. That's these concepts about who we are rather than who we are. So we're trying to then fulfill some concept about who we are and live up to that. Or what we're doing is being authentic and true to ourselves. So prosperity is going forth with enthusiasm. And what happens is people will say, well, if I had the money, then I would do this. Or if I had the money, I would do that. Or if I didn't have the debt, then I would do this. And if I didn't have this problem, then I would do this. If I was younger, I would do this. If I was older, I would do this. If the world wasn't such a bad place, I would do this. And, so you go, person going on and on and on. So they're always then giving the effect, the power over them to be cause. When in this world, as it operates as cause and effect, when you're in your spiritual consciousness, cause and effect are two sides of the same coin. And when you place the outer world, which is the manifestation, the creation, as the cause, then people are trying to always change something in the outer world in order for them to feel good, or for them to give themselves permission to go somewhere, or to get permission even to be who you are. And that means we're giving then other people the power to make our choices and make our decisions, whether they're in government or religion or science or medicine or whatever those categories are that are constructed from words, really, from statements, from laws, from rules that are really all man-made. There's one eternal law for all divine beings, and that is that you always encourage and allow all living entities, divine beings, true divine beings, to be who they are. And that means that we do not cause distress or harm to a human or animal, not whether it's a definition of that, but you know what I'm talking about, a real living entity, to cause them pain and suffering, because we don't need to. It's not who we are. And when we take back our power, take back our prosperity, there is a tendency to always feel dissatisfied. So you can find some very prosperous people, but you'll find they're never satisfied. They don't have enough yet, because they want total control of everyone and everything, so there's no surprises, because they live in such fear, and the fear is that you will know who you are, and that your purpose is not the continuation of a dimensional reality in whatever dimension that may be, or what you want to call it or say that it is that to make things simple. See, I know I simplify things because they are simple. In fact, how I first really started teaching was teaching Sunday school. And I always say my first students were biters, spitters, and scratchers. And they weren't polite. They were fabulous. And I would have to be interesting to them because they didn't have a long span of interest, because if they were bored, who cares? They're going to, bite somebody or, pull the pigtails, or they'll do something. So anyway, the most simple. And what you find are people make so many complex things. They complex everything. And then how will you ever learn it? Well, you'll have to go get all these upper level degrees. You have to memorize all these textbooks. You got to be all this stuff. And wait a minute, let's say, where does it all comes down to right where you are right now? And when you build your prosperity consciousness, if you're watching programs and everything, you're telling how bad it is and how awful it is and how much it's going to be worse and all of that, then you tie yourself to that, and then it terrorizes you. And the key is that you want to read prosperity teachings. I think you would like my book, besides What You Think of Me Is None of My Business, my book, Live Your Bliss, and Dare to Be Great. Very good. Dare to Be Great has lots of prosperity in that book. And what that means is, what are you filling your mind with? Fear thoughts, doubt thoughts, not too old thoughts. What happens when the future thoughts? What did I do in the past? So how can you prosper? And what does prosper mean? It's an attitude of I can accomplish whatever I want to accomplish. And a lot of times what you want to do is you just want to sit and read or just commune in nature. And you're not being driven all of the time by you've got to attain this and you've got to attain that and you've got to make something out of yourself. You've got to impress somebody. You've got to be what they want you to be. You've got to fill the bill. You got to play the part, because what are they looking for? And then we take it personally. And you want to increase your prosperity consciousness. Be grateful for every little thing that comes instead of, it's not enough. Be satisfied with what you have in every moment instead of staying in a state of dissatisfaction. You say, well, that's going to motivate me because I'm not there yet. But if you're always not there yet, when you get there, you still won't be there yet because you're going to say it's still not good enough because you've got the I'm not good enough program. It's a hypnotic trance. And then part of the trance is that you never wake up for the trance, because if you wake up, you go back to sleep again and operate in the enchanting, entrancing state. And you want to remove yourself from that. And how you do is affirm truth. And abundance is, source. God is my source and my supply. There's nothing for me to worry about ever again. All is well. And you go, well, how could I say that? That's not realistic. Yes, it is. It's the most real that there is because it's you. And to overcome all the poverty consciousness that's always going, it's going to be bad, it's going to be terrible, it's going to be this, it's going to be that, it's going to be all this. That's not for everybody. That's not for, and we say, well, yeah, but the elitists, because they have all the money and they have all the stuff. Yeah, but they're stuck in this world. Remember, the controller is the controlled. Because it's just, I had a brother-in-law who was a guard in a Louisiana prison, and he called me. He was so depressed. It was so horrible and terrible. Well, he was in jail. He was in jail. And he was a prisoner because he was the guard of prisoners. And when people try and hold you in a certain place, they're the controlled because that's their reality they're trying to control. When you're beyond control, you're beyond human laws and rules, and when you know who you are, because in the divine state, there's only prosperity and abundance. Because it's who you are. And to help you know who you are, you have to affirm it before you go to bed, sleep at night. Okay? taking classes in the prosperity. I'm going to be doing some workshops and retreats on that. Building your prosperity consciousness. Get into the joy of manifesting. And you start to notice all the wonderful good things that are coming to you all the time in every moment. But people say, well, that's not good enough. That's not good enough. That's not good enough because they didn't love me and they didn't like me. And I've got this terrible childhood. And I got to tell you, I was abused as a child. Or, I was abused as a child. I was abused. Really? But you're not a child now, so why are you still abusing yourself? What are you doing? Well, because they did that. Really? That's your identity? Well, this is my identity. That's what you've done to yourself? There's a lot of work that needs to be done, and the greatest work in the world is the work you do on yourself. And when you build a prosperity consciousness, everywhere you go is holy ground. And people love giving you money and goods and services just as you love to do that for others. Because you're living in the real world, not in the false, not in the overlay, you say. This is for us to now take back our lives. Prosperity is your divine right because it doesn't mean lavish gold toilets. This is ridiculous. That's ridicule us. That's foolish times. That's not what it is. Because they'll know and they'll think and then they'll see me and they'll get who I really am and they'll finally appreciate me and I finally made it. But then I'm not good enough. And that's your mind. And when you take back your life, you don't live from the mind. You have a divine consciousness, divine mind, divine wisdom. And when you do that, you are full of joy and full of enthusiasm, no matter when and where. So increase your prosperity consciousness, big time. Remember, I'm there to serve you. Email me, go to my website, and terrycole-whittaker.com is on there. And I do phone counseling, have retreats, do career mentoring, for you can attain whatever you desire, because I've attained everything I've ever wanted in this world and beyond with these teachings. They are the greatest teachings in the world. And it is my pleasure that you have pleasure of the soul forever, because that's who you are. And I love you.